Welcome to part 2 of this video, where we're still in Axe's studio with Matt Elliss, and Matt's been a huge part of our sound and our journey for many years.
Not that many.
Not that many years, no. But still, massive part of it. We're going to nerd out about the gear.
Well, welcome to my studio. It's my control room.
So, this lovely desk, is it now relegated to table duties?
It's an excellent armrest.
Yeah. You see this more and more in studios now, don't they?
I've talked to loads of bands about it. I said, I don't need the desk anymore. Or everyone's the same. You can't get rid of it. It won't look like a studio. But
yeah.
No, for years, I record on the preamps over here because these are fantastic.
Yep.
And I was just using the desk for monitoring and talk back and stuff like that. And I've made everything that I use in the desk is here. This box.
Right, so is that your...
I have often seen that and thought...
Sources coming back for comparing volume, speakers, which
Brilliant.
speakers. So that's the level of the desk. It can be put into a box that big.
From this...
From that. All I was
To
using
this.
on the desk.
So this here switches between the tannoys and the...
Tannoys,
behind the...
yeah, the near fields or headphones.
Right, that's brilliant.
Mute, mono,
Excellent.
volume,
And that's just something you make yourself, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
all myself.
So where was the point then when you stopped using the preamps in the desk? And
For ages. I just started building up the preamps, and I was kind of doing a hybrid thing of some and some not. And then as the studio got busy, I just bought more and more nice things and found I just didn't need the desk. But then I still needed the desk for people's headphones and things like that. Yeah. So eventually the desk was getting a bit temperamental as well.
That's the thing, servicing these things.
Exactly. And for what I was using on it, it wasn't worth
it, yeah.
all the hard take. But,
I mean,
obviously, I've had look. You can tell the use of it. Let's look at all the. See how that's
knob rash.
That's knob. Well, it's just all worked away. That's finger marks. That's turning the volume up and down.
Wow. Yeah. So when did you buy this then? When was it?
Oh, yeah, well before I moved here. I've had it. It was one of the first things I bought when things were going well. Early 90s.
Right. So
Wow.
what gravitated?
I've
you
had my
towards-
money's worth out of it.
So did you make this choice based on anything you liked about this desk, or was it just something that you...
It's
came across?
an AMAC. AMAC was probably the most affordable good make at that time. It's been a good workhorse, you know.
Yeah, and realistically, how many preamps do you need these days when it comes to, I guess, tracking drums?
It's drums. I put a lot of mics on the drum kit. About 18.
Right, okay. Does it sort of stay around that 18 mark, or do you have to go beyond that sometimes? Or
I never track bands all together. There's not. I can't get enough separation in the room to make it work, you know. So I always just usually track the drums and some guide tracks as well. Sometimes if the bands don't bring their own guides, the guys don't really go through the preamps. They go through anything.
DIs.
Yeah, DIs and stuff like that. So about 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I've got about 25.
Down there,
Yeah,
two
two little ones there. So there's about 25 there, but I don't use. Yeah,
cool.
some are saved for guitars, just permanently on guitars.
Which ones are? Sorry.
The Neves and the Vintechs are permanently hooked up to my guitars.
Right. Okay.
Guitars and snare drum, which for some reason I prefer the Neves.
What do you use the APIs for?
Drums.
Oh, it says there. What is this? What is this kit?
What is this weird
What is
code?
this kit?
Yeah.
Is there any? What do you like about the APIs then for that kind of thing? Or is it just you have these preamps?
I you know, there's a lot of bullshit about preamps of like, this is so much better than that. They're all quality preamps.
Yeah.
For me, I like to use the EQ in the preamps on certain things, and some things I don't want to use any EQ on because I want to keep it pure. So that's my decision really. Sometimes it's just convenience of hooking it up.
I see. Yeah. It's for colouring whilst tracking. You mean for giving it?
Yeah, more and more these days I'm trying to record it how I want it to hear. Everyone's doing stuff in the box. As we were on about before, I'm trying to go in the opposite direction, and so I bought more EQs lately. These fantastic Elliss EQs, which are amazing, and I'm EQing on the way in,
right?
Which
The less
it's
you have to
riskier.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want it to sound how I want it to sound. And I know people say you should, I compress on the way in as well. I know some people don't like to do anything. I've been doing it for a long time. I don't need that safety net. I'm happy to EQ it.
And also, it must be healthier for you because it kind of takes away the option to fiddle with it later on. You know, you've committed.
Absolutely.
This.
You know, I like to. By the time Baz or whoever's coming to the vocals, I like it to sound 90% mixed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just so because I think it's more inspiring to sing and play on top of it.
Well, it goes to as you were saying.
If the drums sound great, and it's more inspiring to track guitars on it.
Yeah.
Whereas if they just sound crap, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll fix that later. It's not going to help you track it, and it's a.
It seems like every pro that I've ever spoken to who does this always says get it right as early on as you can.
People play it too safe, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do anything. You know, you've got to get it right at the time and get it in phase as well with the drums. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess.
Is that something you take care of with mic placement, and then do you have to do any kind of time adjusting?
Yeah. Oh God. It's a mathematical nightmare.
Yeah.
So I have templates with the timings.
That
I need, but still, you can set the same kit up the next day, and it doesn't sound in phase, and you've got to mess with it. It's never the same twice. So. And
it's the same with guitar. If you've multiple micing guitar cabs as well, isn't it? That's
just a tiny little bit is that comb filtering effect, which sometimes sounds really good, and then a millimeter further. It sounds hollow and shit.
But I guess you've kind of been able to work out of the same studio. You like you say, you've got these presets. You know your gear absolutely. So
hopefully, I should do by now. Yeah. But yeah, it's a big advantage often to use because I've got a really good Star Classic kit and I've just bought a bell brass snare and stuff like that. And so
I saw that.
It's amazing. And so it's good to, if you can use that as a similar starting point each time. It's easier to sort of advance what you're doing. Whereas if it's a totally different kit every time, it's start again.
Well, really. You've kind of got your own reference because you know what it should sound like, don't you? So,
absolutely. Although every drummer hits it differently, so you know.
So you say you compress on the way in. Is that generally using the distressors, or is that a style choice you make depending on who's playing?
All sorts. Different mics are going through different things. There's sort of 1176 is there. That's my second vocals. I put it through an 1176 over there, and then into that. So I use it two. One to grab it, and then the other one to smooth it. If you like.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, distressors are great on drums. They're and the 1176s because they're fast.
Mm.
You know, so.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in any studio anywhere that doesn't have a pair of the distressors because they're not that old bits of gear, are they?
No, not really. Yeah. No. Although we're probably saying that, and we'll probably find out they're about 20 years old.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Actually,
2000 doesn't seem like 20 years ago.
But I use that Slate, which is a variation on 1176. I use that for bass mics. I sum the bass mics into that. The mics, I print one mic track, but then I've got like the DI track and then the Sans amp track as well. So there's often 3 tracks. But sometimes I stick sometimes I stick it through a guitar rig as well. Right. And have a super distorted.
Do you find yourself using all of those, or do sometimes you think, actually, I can just make do with the amp track here?
I always use a combination. I don't always use the DI. The DI is there for emergencies. If I think
need to reamp
I hate that sound, I need to reamp it, or that bit there's supposed to be clean, and then I might need to reamp it through a clean setup. If I don't think I'm going to use it, I don't record it.
That's good. If I did this, I would like to think I would apply a similar philosophy. I wouldn't want to have tons of crap around it.
I think you've got to make decisions as you go. You've got to shape the direction of the song. Otherwise, you've just got nothing at mix time. Now I'm constantly thinking, right, how do I want this to sound, and then doing something about it at the recording stage. And if it doesn't sound right when you're recording it, it probably isn't.
Shit in, shit out.
Nicely summed up.
As they say. But yeah,
can't polish a turd, blah blah blah.
Well, it's kind of true, you know. It's time, isn't it? It's time, you know. But that in itself,
you can't polish a turd, but you can tune a turd.
You can tune turd. Yeah, you can tune turd. Where's the turd tuner? Which one?
That's auto tune.
Right, guitar amps then.
Yes.
Is it my imagination or is this kind of thinned out a little bit?
No, there's always been this many here because that's the rack. But I used to have a subs bench.
Ah, that was it.
In
yeah,
there.
you did. Yeah.
Of like what did I have? I had an old vintage Marshall.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
a high
plexi.
watt.
Yeah.
And again, I found I wasn't using them. I love the Marshalls, the modded Marshalls.
What mod was it again? Is it the Dan Gower?
Dan Gower modded it. I've forgotten what he actually calls the mod, but
is it? It's not 14, is it?
14 mod.
It is the 14
That's
mod.
It. You're right. You know more than me. But again, I had it done years ago, and people laugh about how I've bought and sold amps, but all these are pretty consistent now.
Yeah.
I love the Fender for cleans as well. I love that.
I think the only
I used to have amp pegs and things like that, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
I like the Fender.
You had the little. Did you have a little JMP in a wooden case, a natural wooden? Oh, is that?
That's it.
That's why I said to you. I said,
You said, is that new? Yeah.
I said, is that new?
Yeah. There's that little Fender tweed kit there at the bottom in a wooden case.
Yeah.
Bottom.
I think when Wagons have been here, we've used every single one of these except the rectifier
All right.
and possibly that.
I'm going to say it, but guitarists hate me for it. But a lot of these amps, they're very similar.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
people talk about night and day, but a distorted guitar sound.
How
you
different
know,
can
if
you
I
make?
set up a sound on that, give me a minute with that, and
Yeah.
I'll be able to get a sound that is fairly indistinguishable from it.
Somewhere similar.
Some amps are quirky amps that sound different to anything, like those ampegs, you know. But a lot of these are good. Again, it's like the preamps. A good amp's a good amp. You know,
Yeah.
moving the mic or changing the mic will make more difference, and the cab will
The
make
speaker,
miles
yeah.
more difference than changing the amp out. So
I remember
people,
that was
people get obsessed about the amp, and it's like no, it's the cab and the mic,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and the guitar, and you know.
Well, you kind of taught me that lesson that we take into when it comes to doing the live thing. How much the speaker makes a
Yeah.
difference. And I remember changing I got some vintage 30s, and it was like I'd changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, it was just that.
Well, it's
different.
changing the amp makes that much
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
Changing the cab can make that, you know.
Yeah. So that crate thing's a cool little thing. Don't remember seeing that.
Right, the crate is my snare reamp device.
All right. Okay.
Do you want me to show you?
Go on then. Yeah.
So what I do is, this is secrets I'm giving away.
I know. Yeah.
But basically, as I'm recording the drums, I take an output from the snare as he's recording it,
Okay.
and it goes into the crate. You coming for a walk?
We're going for a walk, Matt. Oh no! This is the repair bay, isn't
It
it?
might be fixed. We left the glue on all.
Oh, we'll go all the way. Yeah.
So we're in the live room now. This is all right. Wow.
Oh, I am. Into Matt's bedroom.
Oh, no
Into
way.
Matt's bedroom.
Oh man. Here, I'll get a light.
Wowee.
So that speaker there is over the snare,
I'll shine a light, go on.
and then when the snare hits, it rattles the snare, and I pick it up with the mic underneath, and it's just a good way of getting a snare sound without all the rest of the kit, just the bottom of the snare. So yeah, that's the levels of insanity that I'm at now.
I love seeing. It kind of seems a bit
Oh, he's
old-fashioned, you know.
I tell you, I am going backwards.
Yeah.
You know.
Awesome. That is great.
Yeah.
So the crate is just an amp. It's
It's just a fallback. It's just to power that speaker.
right.
So if,
Oh, I see. Right.
if I was playing it now, if you watch in that room, all you do is.
Yeah.
But it does enough to excite the snare,
Right.
and it does sound like the under snare mic.
How loud is that? How loud is the signal going to that? Does it have to be very loud or?
It's got to be loud enough to rattle the
Right,
snare.
yeah. Do you use a regular under like a bottom snare mic?
Yeah, I do that as well.
Right, okay.
But that picks up a mixture of the kit sound as
Bleed.
well in with
Yeah.
it as well, and so I use a bit of that. But that's just something to add on top, really.
So some of the cabs.
Oh,
here.
I remember the first time we came here.
And
I remember a story from the very first day we arrived. We were looking at the cabs, and obviously before we even knew you, one of the first things you said was, "Guys, get away from those cabs! Get away from the cabs!" Because it was a slightly different setup to this, wasn't it? It was,
Well, I didn't. See, this is my, let's call it a band barrier.
The band barrier, yeah.
There's bands like they come and go, oh, just get a bit of feedback, and then they knock all the mics. I'm just like, oh my god.
No,
yeah.
So this is interesting. This is kind of different to what I remember. I don't know if it's just the baffles you're using, but are these just the 4?
It's all different, to be
Right,
honest. I blend 2 cabs together, and again, just bounce that down to one track, one stereo track.
Which cab would you say you favour most?
Ooh, all 3. Any combination of that, and then that's the bass. That's the only one that doesn't really get much love.
What speakers are in? Have you got a combination or differences?
I've got I mess about a lot with cabs, so they've all got a combination written on there on the top. So
I should really just read, shouldn't I, before I?
I don't know.
So yeah, so vintage 30s.
It's vintage 30s. It's at 1, and then what that bottom left is different. That's vintage 30s on the bottom. That one's not vintage 30s. The Marshall. That's different.
Just find vintage 30s always seem to overpower anything else that's in. It's
that 3K, isn't it? Because it's the frequency of a baby crying.
Is that what it is? The one that makes you want to throttle.
So it's like
Yeah. And this is a legendary piece of kit.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Stereo amps. Couldn't get many of them.
Do you use much of the modulation on it? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's quite kind of what I use it for. That's just when I want
get
that stereo chorusy sound. I love it.
But this room's such a great sized room, if you know what I mean. It's like you get the room sound, but you're not battling.
That's interesting you say that. I always wish I had a room with massive ceilings and so I could get more of a bloom on the drums. But it is what it is. I've got 2 Coles mics now. You can see these ones with the things on, and I basically just pushed them right up, and they're my room mics now. And they're fantastic mics. So again, that's a new addition to the studio. But yeah, you're always trying to get with the room mics just make sure you're just not recording a wash of cymbals.
Yeah.
Because then it's unusable.
You must have some interesting stories about gear that bands bring in, insist on using.
Oh, I remember being proud as punch bringing my new Marshall amp here the first time, and you were just like so humouring me.
Oh, we're not.
Yeah.
Go on, we'll give it a go after about 30 seconds.
It's always the people with the worst gear who are the most attached to it as well.
It's not a claustrophobic booth, if you know what I mean.
It's not so good if you keep farting in there and it's red.
It gets warm.
It's hot in there.
It does get warm in there.
It's hot.
I remember one time a girl came in there singing. She came up with dreadlocks. It's true.
Here's the dunny. Very important.
That's vintage. That's going backwards.
Yeah,
What's this?
I like them.
And it is the room where bands spend most of the time.
Show the DVDs. Baz, tell me who gave me all those DVDs.
Oh, I did, yeah.
It was you.
I've got another box full at home. I think
What a
I should have brought.
lovely guy.
I should have brought. Shouldn't
What a
I?
lovely guy though. He says, I saw on Facebook that you've got a new DVD player, so I bought you these, and he brought in about 200 DVDs, and I was just like, what are you going to do without them? He's like, I'll be fine. I was like, that's generosity.
Prague Diaries 3. Hot Milfs. So it's a selection of guitar effects, which I guess that's the kind of backup rack, is it? Because you're A-team sort of.
Well, that's I like a lot of wahs. I've just bought this actually. I haven't used it yet on a session, but it sounds amazing.
Is that Boss?
No, it's a Morley
Morley
fuzz wah, but it's fantastic fuzz sound on it. Really like it.
Yeah, that's going more and more, getting like a fuzz circuit built in. I like
Yep.
that mics. But I've always loved this. I remember, I think you'd only just got these Strymon.
Yeah, I mean,
pedals.
a guy. I think it was the guy in Of Allies. He brought some Strymons in, and I'm pretty used to bands bringing in gear, Kempers, and whatever, and thinking that's all right, but it's not for me. As soon as he got them, I was like, I need to own
These.
So I bought the exact 3 that he's got. So thanks for that, Rich. But yeah, love them. Guitar effects all the time.
I love how this is kind of. This is almost set up like it's a permanent installation. You know, you're not sort of going.
I've got it. It's a head fuck really. I've got about 4 different setups in all routed around because I've just so that's my bass rig there.
All right. Yeah.
Then one of my guitar setups is like these just for basic rock metal rhythm guitar, just a Pog and a TS9. Then I have a fuzz set up there, which is like for fuzz guitar. That's a great pedal.
We use that Catlin bread.
Yeah, and I've started putting the rat in front of it, just to push it. I think Ozzy from Black Spiders put me onto that idea, and it sounds fantastic. And then I've got a boost after it, so it's a really nice sound. Then I have my normal sort of guitar sound, which just goes through all these and then all them. So if I'm not sure what I want, I put it through that because there's a bit of everything there. I need to be ready, and we need to crack on because budget, time, and stuff like that. So it's great to have a starting point with everything, like a little template, and then tweak it from there. Really,
it's okay to use more than one gain or overdrive. Just kind of stacking them.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit each
compressors.
time.
Sometimes two compressors doing a little bit sounds better than one.
Yeah, you're not sort of tearing the ass off it, are you?
No, absolutely. Still got my old reverb there, my valve reverb. I use it every now and then for tank sound. Fender. I've got a Neumann U87, which I sometimes use, and I've also got a Loughton Atlantis, which I think I prefer, and I tend to use that more often. But they're both very similar, large. They're both fantastic. But I often use the Loughton. It's my favourite mic on acoustics as well. It's a fantastic acoustic guitar mic. Often these days I'm starting to put it into the UA. I always used to go through a Neve, but I put it into the UA now,
right.
And then into the Tube Tech. And that's me really.
Do you do much in the box processing like compression and things, or do you just...
Yeah. Obviously there's always more that can be done, or I certainly do on vocals, because you've got to be careful with vocals. If you're recording someone's fantastic performance and you've just totally burnt it in the compressor,
there's no getting that back, is there?
No. So probably I'm a bit safer on that, although I still cane it for rock vocals.
Yeah.
Otherwise the dynamics is too much. So you've got to crush it down a bit. I do plenty in the box still, but I'm trying to do as much outside as I possibly can.
Most people seem to be going in the exact opposite
exactly.
direction.
Just recording a DI, reamp it through a guitar sim, use drum samples. And that's fine if that's where you want to go. I just want to make things that sound a bit more real.
Yeah.
Like someone's hitting a drum hard, like someone's really going for it, But the only thing that people recognise in the rack, they go, what do you use that for? I'm like...
The pod?
To keep the other things from falling down. Just to fill the rack.
Yeah.
I don't think I've switched that on for, I don't know.
I'm sure when we did DIs for like guides and things, we used
I went through a phase of doing that just for guides, and now I don't even do that. I mean, this rack I never use, it's just there because it looks nice.
It looks stupid empty.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a fridge in there, isn't it? A little beer fridge.
TV.
The TV, yeah. With a cricket on it.
I'm always changing my mind, and I'm always trying stuff out, but I do feel I'm getting close to what I want. I fucking should after 20 years. Thanks. You're never going to put all that detail in, about studios.
Yeah. There's some saddos out there that'll enjoy all that. People like me, but
this is just for your private
let's
collection.
be honest, this is it's just for me. This.